Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, warm welcome to day 2 of the 7th ETAuto EV Conclave. It's my pleasure and honor to be the moderator for this fireside chat on electric mobility and the new age connected customer. So, as we are running behind schedule, but that also gives us an opportunity to make this session even more crisper and more engaging for sure. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for sparing your time. Mr. Gill, Gourav, really appreciate you participating and in this session. So, since the talk is about electric mobility and the new age connected customer, as the title suggests, we would be talking, kind of deliberating on the connected vehicle trend and how the EV era, especially as we all are discovering that the EV as a platform is more conducive for the proliferation of connected technologies, and not only at the vehicle level, but this whole progression of the connected megatrend is percolating to all aspects of the automotive business, right from the sourcing, supply chain, manufacturing, the vehicle level, and the distribution and retail level, and connecting to the end customer. So, first of all, I mean, it's only fair that I ask the first question to an industry veteran like Mr. Gill, who has no less than about 42 years under his belt as a professional in the automotive industry, and about close to 20 years in the EV industry, and he's one of the strongest proponent in the Indian EV industry space. So, great to have him in this conclave. So, Mr. Gill, tell us, you have seen the whole evolution of not only the EV industry so far, but all the automotive industry. But if we keep our focus only to the EV side, the EV industry as a playground or as a space for connected technologies, how is it progressing now, and which are the areas where you're seeing that, okay, these are the areas where the connected technology is kind of delivering the best value, and there could be more, for example?
Well, the word connected is, I think, overused, all pervasive. I think we're a little fed up of this word also. And it's there in our lives, whether it is connected, electric, or non-electric, or whatever, it's always there. So we should specifically talk of EV and connected world. And in EV, why it makes sense to talk more about connected world is because EV per se is a lot of electronics, lot of software, in the vehicle, outside the vehicle. So when you say connected, which means it performs a function much well, easier, and it offers a lot of opportunities to be connected. One simple example is charging stations. If the vehicle doesn't talk to the charging station and charging station doesn't talk to the customer, it's not connected. Whereas in a petrol vehicle, it is not so. That's the basic thing here. The infra, the people, and ecosystem. Everything is well laid to be better connected in EV than in a normal vehicle. For example, my network of 700 is first electronically trained, and they have, most of it is electrical electronic equipment, not mechanical. Tail pani filter nahi hai. So for them to understand anything to do with digitization or connection is so easy. Therefore, it is amenable for them to be easily connected to whatever is being offered to them. Second is, within the vehicle, it's mostly plug and play now. It's not that piston ring has become undersized, make another oversized, cylinder reboring, etc. Nothing. It is just something gone wrong, take it out, put it back again. Which means even the customer himself can do most of the sort of a self-diagnostics if it is well connected. It can throw up on a screen to a customer, oh, your vehicle bearings are now going wrong. Or this controller, MOSFET has burst. So that is where the word connected has to be seen as far as electric vehicles are concerned. Even the adoption as such in EVs has started with people who are new age or who are IT savvy, who are the guys who normally want to experiment with new things. So that's a catch available of customers who are savvy about connected vehicles, and therefore they adapt to it so easily that you are able to offer the services behind that specific to EV, generically to connected. Otherwise, everybody has a mobile phone well connected to the world, but this is something more than that we talk of. Thank you.
Right. And Gaurav, I mean, you offer services which really provide help industry stakeholders, industry players to connect, establish, connect, and build a relation with customers, and also are designed to hopefully also retain them. So what are the nuances that you're observing that are emerging in the retail space, in the after-sales space, which are really being powered by connected technology and has much more scope to kind of create value out of?
So just before the chat, we were actually having a chat together, and we were reminiscing the old times, let's say 15 years prior, when the choice of buying a scooter used to be maybe 1 or 2 scooters in the market. You had to wait for a good about a year sometimes to get a delivery, and your sources of information were primarily from magazines, or if you visit the dealership and you get that source of information. So let's now just fast forward to today, and here is a time when there's been a paradigm shift in which customers operate, make their purchasing decisions and choices, right? They have a mobile phone, they have social media telling them about new launches, there are influencers who are pushing new launches, right? And then what is invisible to most of us is that technology is actually tracking each and every customer through cookies, trying to find out, trying to listen actively to what the customer wants. So I think the powerful story here that's evolving in India at least is the fact that there's a whole digital revolution. Everyone's got a mobile phone, as Sohinder was bringing out. And so it has become a lot about how do you engage with that customer? How do you bring out to the customer what he or she wants, right? Because if you're not able to do that, the customer will go somewhere else, because this is not the era of just 1 or 2 scooters. There are a plethora of choices, or for that matter, even cars, there are a plethora of choices, right? So I think the new age customer is very demanding, spoiled for choice. They are in an era of instant gratification. So if they don't get something right then, right there, then they'll just move on, right? So that is what is making it extremely challenging for most customers to retain and hold on to their customers, right? I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of top EV and automobile companies in India. And as a first step, we do a discovery where we go and look at the customer's journey, right? We just map the journey, see how is the customer coming to a dealership. Like in Sohinder's case, let's say a Hero Electric dealership. What are his experiences in the dealership? And even after he buys the scooter, how is service helping him retain that relationship with the customer? So it's a journey of touch points from the time the person comes to the website, to the test ride, to even simple things like, a loan. You want to take a vehicle loan. Nobody wants to spend 2 days to just do the paperwork, Sometimes the choice to buy a scooter is when you find that the person can turn around the loan in 15 minutes. I'm sure you've heard that or seen that case, right? So imagine you're making a purchasing decision because of efficiency in turning around the cycle of a loan, of all things, right? So we've actually seen some really incredible things around how today's customer is changing, and the new age customer is essentially that. So in my view, we have to actually engage with the customer through and through, provide them personalized experiences.
Right, talking about the customer and talking about personalized experiences, and you also mentioned about the plethora of choices available in any sector. Why only automobiles as compared to earlier? But especially in automobiles, the difference is much more starker than many other sectors. But from the consumer's perspective, there is a plethora of kind of companies or brands trying to attract his or her interest or attention. Now, from that perspective, they could be, not only they spoiled for choice, but it could tread to the other negative territory of being, having an inadvertent kind of impact of the connected, leveraging the connected technology solution to kind of reach the consumer, and therefore perhaps may, in some cases, even upset the customer. So how do you tackle that challenge?
I'm not sure about how we can, impact a customer getting upset with more choices.
No, but in terms of the communication, what I'm saying is that,
So there are, I think communication is in various forms. I mean, I just remember the secretary mentioning, and it was so refreshing hearing it from the secretary this morning, that we need to create curated experiences and educate the customer today. So I think it's about customer education and how effectively you communicate, and that's where our omni-channel communications with the customer become important. Because if there's a brand obviously which they have in mind, but it's the communication, because the right or the wrong kind of communication can make an impact. So it's a combination of how you create the brand, how you develop a personalized link with the customer, because while communication may be very apersonal, it's happening through channels, but at the end of the day, we are dealing with a human being with emotions. And so the first rules of design thinking is you build it on human emotion, right? So I think to your point, getting upset is also part of that human emotional journey. And it's really about how we as companies can educate them and promote what our strengths are as a product or as an offering.
Right. Mr. Gill, I mean, now with this very disruptive age, barring the kind of very technical part, there are many cross-sharing of best practices among, between or among different sectors. Anything that you take, or have you any anecdote that you can share where, especially the electric vehicle megatrend is witnessing the adoption of some of the best practices, leveraging maybe connected technology from other sectors? That question for Mr. Gill and for you too, Gourav.
I would say best practices, when they share, they become commoditized. So that's a base level. That doesn't give you distinction, that doesn't give you differentiation, but that's all prevalent. They are available free of cost type of a thing. So we should look for, when you do connected, you should look for a system or a software or otherwise design and process which is two-way connected to the customer in such real time, because ultimately you are satisfying a customer, creating a delight or creating an ecstasy, and that's a differentiation. So unless your software systems or otherwise processes are able to capture that well in time, correctly, to the minutest detail, and correct your processes, you will be failing in the connectivity end results. So I would advise anybody who wants to go to a connectivity next level and create that customer ecstasy, he has to create a differentiation. And to create a differentiation, the system should support it. The people behind that should understand that and be able to, either through design process or otherwise through its product, be able to answer those in a real-time basis. More minutely you do it, more real-time you do it, the better it is for you.
Okay. Anything from your point?
There are two things that I discovered in the course of discoveries which really, impacted my thinking. The first is that we developed data that said that people who buy from a dealership, there's a 70% chance that they will not come back to that dealership for this service, except if it's a free service. 70% of people don't come back to the same dealer from where they purchased the vehicle, right?
Sorry, was this the case which you're citing, is it an EV player or?
So this is for EV and automotive both,
Okay.
But I'm just saying why would a customer not come back?
Right.
So there's a huge potential here of bringing him back to the same place from where he's bought the vehicle, right? There's something that's going wrong. We're not able to hold on to them or create that retention. So this was one observation. The second funny observation I've seen is with marketeers. So they have a huge marketing budget. But in our experience, when you send out marketing messages to the customer, it has a negative impact. Because somebody who wants to buy a black car, you're sending him a red car. Or somebody who's not interested in a 100cc bike, you're sending him, details about a 100cc bike. So, according to our study, and we found out that we are talking about personalization here, we're talking about how to interact with the customer. One of the biggest negatives of reaching out or connected customer is when you're connecting the wrong way. That's a disconnect.
Which is what I was referring to earlier,
Yes.
and this communication part.
That's a disconnect. So, connectedness by itself is only as good if you know what the customer wants, right? If you don't know, you're sending information which is actually probably working like a double-edged sword and impacting you negatively.
There we are. No, some very interesting kind of findings and some suggestions from Mr. Gill also in terms of how we can leverage the whole connected technology as a platform to really not differentiate the experience and create that wow factor and excitement among customers, which is very, very critical, especially in these days, as Gaurav also pointed out, there's a plethora of choices. So indeed, that was a very interesting and, of course, a crisp conversation with both the gentlemen. Thank you very much for sparing your time. And as the indicator shows, it's time's up. So, but I'm sure the gentlemen will be around to have any kind of a chat if any of you would like to have with them. So I'm sorry, we would love to have the questions, but unfortunately, because of the paucity of time, you can please get them as soon as after the session. Thanks for your understanding. Really appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, for your very patient hearing, and I'm sure you also found this session interesting as much as I did, and also enjoyed conducting this session as the moderator. Thank you very much once again.